Since the format isn't the same as previous tournaments, I'll end the video right here. I'll see you in the first week of the finalists the next 2 games. Since 2 champions of the Second Chance tournament are advancing to the Tournament of Champions, this week already has its finalists: Molly Karol, Jessica Stevens, and James Fraser. Just like Monday's game, I have trouble on if I want to root for Molly or Jessica. I feel obligated to root for Molly, and I also think Jessica has a chance. However, James could also win seeing yesterday's game. Ken Jennings' instruction was, welcome to the first of 2 finals in our Second Chance competition. Our champions, James, Jessica, and Molly, today and tomorrow will be competing in a 2-game match, at the end of which the player with the highest combined total will be named our winner. Now, we haven't talked about prizing for Second Chance yet. Let's walk through that. Our 3rd place finalist is going to receive $10,000. We have $20,000 for 2nd place, and our champion will receive $35,000, and much more importantly, a guaranteed spot in the upcoming Tournament of Champions. I was thinking about the prizes and I wondered, why so little? I guess it's as if they're trying to appear as though they've won 1 or 2 games. Except in Molly's case, she could have won $30,400 in her first game, and Jessica could have won $20,799. Jessica got the first daily double, wagered $1,000, and the question was obvious. This largest Kentucky city was named for a king of France. The answer was obviously, what is Louisville? That took her to $1,800. The word abode seems to be appearing a lot recently. In Treasure Island, Captain Smollett tells the men they'll have this rum drink served out for you to drink our health and luck. After James answered, what is grog? Ken told him, easy for a Navy man, yes. Tutophobia. After Jessica answered, what is fear of German people? The audience laughed because it is indeed the fear of German people. Jessica ran the phobias category. I wonder if that means she was scared of a lot of things. Ken asked Molly what it feels like to be a finalist in the very first Second Chance tournament. She answered it's incredible and she sees herself as a dark horse. Fun coincidence, since in the Jeopardy podcast, Andrew He was said to be a potential dark horse, and a few Redditors even saw him as a dark horse when discussing the upcoming tournament months earlier. Jessica didn't prepare as much for this tournament compared to last year's appearance because she was a lot more nervous about last year. She took improv classes and public speaking courses to help her this time. Maybe I should take improv classes and public speaking courses to help read the scripts better. James' colleague told him, you've got the Navy's good name going right now, so don't screw it up. Henry VIII struggled to leave Catherine of Aragon, but it took death to part old Henry from this woman, wife number 6. The answer was Catherine Parr. This is just recycling for the final Jeopardy round on Mateo Rich's 8th game. Also, Henry VIII was the subject of the first Daily Double and Double Jeopardy in last week's airing, so he seems to have been appearing a lot recently. James ended the first round winning $7,000 even. Jessica was in late at $7,800, and Molly was in 3rd place at $2,800. This kid's book, The Sweet and Sour Animal Book, used 26 unpublished poems of this Harlem Renaissance figure. The answer was Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was also the background information to the final Jeopardy round last year on Ken's first episode as a co-host. I love how Kate Conn added a lot of question marks. The episode aired on November 8th, unfortunately the anniversary of Alex Trebek's passing, and exactly a week before Molly appeared. Langston Hughes was also the answer on Luigi de Guzman's 2nd game, aka the season 39 premiere. Now, I'm not done. Alex was mentioned only a minute and a half later.
He wrote, oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. James.
Who's Krabby Burns?
As Alex used to say, yeah.
Alex Trebek.
He got both daily doubles.
James got both daily doubles in Double Jeopardy. James got the first daily double, wagered $4,699, got it right, and went from $6,600 to $11,299. James got the 2nd daily double in Double Jeopardy, risked $2,569. The question was obvious to me. It begins, of man's first disobedience, and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world. What is paradise lost? James unfortunately answered wrong. I went from $16,899 to $14,330. And yes, that was a lot harder to read. It was formerly French Sudan. The answer was Molly. Yes, I know it's spelled differently than Molly, hence the 4 letters. I just wish she would have answered. After doing America in 1996, this pair of probably not Jeopardy fans returned in 2022 to do the universe. The answer was Beavis and Butthead. Why was Jeopardy even included in this question? It could have just said, this pair returned in 2022. Song of Myself was in the first edition of this collection of poems by Walt Whitman. I actually had to read this for one of my literature courses, and speaking of text I had to read for my literature courses, How meta. Dante's a character in this three-part epic poem of his. The answer is obviously the Divine Comedy. A biography by this medieval poet by Alessandro Barbero was a recent bestseller in Italy. The answer was Dante. The only time I'll reference him in the spooky month of October. This quote already didn't age well. Molly entered Double Jeopardy winning $10,400. Jessica was in second place at $15,600, and James was in the lead at $19,930. The final Jeopardy category was international borders. I already know James is gonna get this right. The question was, 2 of the 3 countries that share land borders with Russia and China. I know Mongolia is one of them. What are the other 2? Molly answered Mongolia and North Korea. That's correct. North Korea has a tiny 11-mile border with Russia. Molly wagered $5,200, tying Jessica for second place. This is actually Molly's second game aiming for a tie. The first was in the game that I just mentioned earlier. Jessica answered Mongolia and Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is the other border. She wagered $13,000, taking her score to $28,600. James answered Mongolia and North Korea. Of course, he would know. He wagered $10,999 and went to $30,929. The scores are close. Poor Molly. The overheard on set was titled, "Check Out the Competition." Ken asked if it helped that they had a semifinal match to warm up. Jessica answered it helped to see James and Molly to know what she's playing up against. Ken asked Jessica if she'd like to reveal her anti-James and anti-Molly intel. I'm keeping it deep for now. And now for the final night of the Second Chance tournament. The first of 2 champions who will advance to the tournament champions. After thanking Johnny Gilbert, Ken Jennings' instruction was, "Welcome to the final game in the first week of 2 in our Second Chance competition." Now, over the past year and a half, our finalists, James, Jessica, and Molly, thought their Jeopardy dreams were over. But in less than 30 minutes, one of them is going to be crowned a Jeopardy champion. Our Second Chance competition. Not just any winner, but one with a guaranteed berth in the highly anticipated tournament champions that begins October 31st. He then removed the scores and thanked their sponsor. There were a few questions answered when I told myself, of course James would know since he's a naval aviator. Peregrine White was born on this ship, anchored in Provincetown Harbor in November 1620. The answer was obviously the Mayflower. This is just recycled from the final Jeopardy question on Mateo Roach's 15th game. I am the beginning and the ending. There's Sirius Omega. Why does James keep answering Genesis? James got the first daily double. Ken told him, once again you found it early. Once again, will you wager your weird amount? James made it easy and did $1,200, which was a true daily double. He answered correctly because of course he would, seeing the question, and went to $2,400. It's French for le duc. The way Ken pronounced it is acceptable. However, if you're not a native speaker, if you're not used to speaking it, Canard sounds too much like, let's just say, a vulgar French insult, which in English would be pronounced the same way as Ken pronounced duck. Ken asked Molly how she feels to potentially being in the Tournament of Champions in over a week's time. She answered, the field is just so incredible that I think just to be a fly on the wall, and just kind of see everybody that we've been watching over the past year would just be an incredible opportunity. Ken asked if there's anyone she'd like to meet. She answered, I've had the opportunity to go against Andrew He in the past, and I think now that I have a second chance under my belt, it might be a good time for a rematch. If she wins and there is a rematch, I'd also hope for a rematch between Andrew and Amy. I already asked how Molly would have played against Amy. Now imagine Molly, Andrew, and Amy playing against each other. Ken asked Jessica how she pictured her weekend odds. She answered she'd love to meet Amy and Matea, as well as seeing Matt and Jonathan again. This will be important for later. Ken asked James the same question, and he looks forward to playing against some of the super champions. James ended the first round winning $3,600. Molly was in third place at $2,600, and Jessica was in the lead at $4,600. A very close game that all ends at $600. They're all $1,000 apart. One of the Double Jeopardy categories was, so you blew it the first time. Ken prefaced by telling them not to take it personally.
He got both daily doubles.
James got the first daily double in Double Jeopardy. He made it a true daily double again. Unfortunately, answered wrong and went down to 0. A lot of fans were wondering how James didn't know the answer was Hershey just because of the name Milton. Meanwhile, am I the only one who noticed that not only were 2 daily doubles between yesterday and today about someone named Milton, yesterday's daily double asked about John Milton's work. James got both of the daily doubles relating to someone named Milton and answered wrong. Since this was in the category so you blew it the first time, James said, I blew it that time. Kind of the audience laughed. Sorry, James. Jessica got the second daily double in Double Jeopardy, wagered $3,500, got it right, and was $12,100. I saw the question, I put a spell on you, and thought the answer was Hocus Pocus related, especially since we're only 10 days away from Halloween. The answer was actually Nina Simone. There were so many triple stumpers toward the end of the round. Molly ended Double Jeopardy winning $10,600. James was in third place at $2,000, and Jessica was in lead at $15,300. We were reminded of their scores from yesterday. Anything can happen. The Final Jeopardy category was 19th century literary characters. The question was, this character from an 1859 novel symbolizes the dates who in mythology spin the web of life, measured it, and cut it off. 1859, Dickens. I want to say it's someone from A Tale of Two Cities. James answered Uriah Heep. Right author, wrong character. He risked it all. He really had no choice. I went down to 0. His score yesterday was $30,929, which ended up being his final score. Molly didn't answer. She also risked it all and went down to 0. Her score stays at $15,600. Sorry, Molly. The answer was Madame Defarge from A Tale of Two Cities, knitting by the guillotine, symbol of death. So I got the novel right, I just couldn't name the character. Jessica risked $10,000 and went down to $5,300. Her score yesterday was $28,600, so she has a grand total of $33,900. Fans were highly critical of her wager, commenting if either James or Molly answered correctly, they would have won, and that her best bet would be to not risk anything. Now, both James and Molly won more than their amount, which seems unusual for a tournament. Even though fans were critical of Jessica's wager, they were immediately as excited for a potential rematch between Matt, Jonathan, and Jessica. This is too cool. This is too cool. What amazes me even more is that Jessica is the reason the Second Chance tournament exists, and she ended up winning. The Over Her Not Set was titled A New Ball Game. Ken told Jessica the Second Chance tournament was created for players like her. She played against 2 super champions and couldn't take them both. She beat Matt and couldn't beat Jonathan, so Second Chance was perfect for her. Ken asked how she felt. She answered it was very similar, and these games are most exciting when they're close. When Ken described returning for this competition was like a different ball game, Molly said she felt steadier, knowing how it will go. Ken described it as a haunted house you've only been to once. They know where all the Draculas and Frankensteins are. Frankenstein monsters. I love the Halloween references. So fans are anticipating a potential rematch between Matt, Jonathan, and Jessica. I heard this theory after the tournament was confirmed, and I even thought it myself. That seeing how it goes, we could have Matt, Jonathan, and Jessica all over again as finalists in the Tournament of Champions. And it's only because Second Chance that this is even a possibility. The Jeopardy YouTube channel then posted a video congratulating Jessica Stevens. It's the same narrator, and the video is still in a sepia tone. Why would that be the case if upbeat music is playing and they're congratulating her?
Away with the quarterfinal game. Then she faced her phobias.
The narrator said he has never seen all 3 players from a single game advance to the Tournament of Champions. Well, that's because they couldn't before, and it's only because Second Chance that this is even a possibility.
Go back for a second.
$2,900.
Remember that first game? Jessica, Matt, Jonathan? That was history, folks. Jeopardy, history in the making. I've been doing this for a while, and I have never seen 3 contestants from a single game all go on to play in the TOC. Never.
One final note. A few of the people hoping what would be the greatest rematch in the history of Jeopardy. Others are speculating how pragmatic it actually is, especially since Amy is the biggest factor. We'll see what happens in the tournament. Now on to week 2.
And as always, thank you for watching.